For today's face-off on Fox Soul, challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-off on Fox Soul starts right now.
Take it out right now. Hurry up, and take it out. Take it out. Yeah. I'm on that. You a thief. Back. Now get out. Yeah, get out. Yeah, it's like that. We don't like thieves, homie. In the name of Allah, homie. Yeah, in the name of Allah. Yeah.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
All right, Quanell, that was Moreno Valley, a suburb of Riverside, California. And I think it captured the American zeitgeist we saw this week. Daniel Penny be exonerated by a jury, charged with the murder of Jordan Neely, who was terrorizing people on a train. We have seen video after video after video after video after video after video of people loading up and stealing stuff. And of course, the costs of that are not being assumed by corporate America. They're being passed on to us law-abiding, rule-following consumers, and it's gotten out of control. When I was in Las Vegas just 2 weeks ago, the CVS on the strip, Quanell, I watch a guy go in there like he's shopping, just load everything up in his arms with his little, one of them white guys with dreadlocks, those type, right? All dirty looking, just walks right out. Armed security right there. I can't help myself, right? I asked him. I said, man, why didn't you do something? We're not allowed to, right? Because corporate America has decided, largely, that they'd just rather us all pay for the theft, right? And let the bad guys win. And I think it's beautiful to see someone that is tired of the bad guys winning. But if the guy would have just took off with the stuff and that guy would have shot him, they would have indicted the shooter, right? Not the thief. And in fact, there's clearly enough evidence with facial recognition technology, they could identify this guy was stealing. They can identify all these people that are walking in and taking. I saw some videos of people going into Lululemon and just stealing all kinds of stuff, and a couple of actual customers walking in. This lady just shoved her right out of the way and kept walking. Back in the day, that shove, that would have made the theft a robbery. We don't care anymore. Our society doesn't care. And I would like to say to the man screaming in the name of Allah and fighting for justice under his God, good job. Good for you. I think we're all sick of thieves.
And I would like to say to the brother, who obviously is a Muslim, that your behavior in the store, brother, is unbecoming of a Muslim. Because, first of all, we are taught through the holy prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that the ink of the scholar is more precious than the blood of the martyr. That brother who was shoplifting was doing things out of complete ignorance of who he is by nature. The brother should have went up to him and say, brother, I just witnessed what you did, and what you did was wrong. Put all of those items back, and attempted to convince him with logic, put everything back. He should not have pulled out the gun first and threatened that brother's life and pointed at his head because of some material items he shoplifted out of a corner store. That man's life is more sacred and more precious, dear Muslim brother, than any small little item he shoplifted out of that store. You got a right to be upset. You got a right to be angry. I don't condone shoplifting. In fact, it's wrong. Go get a damn job. But a man's life is more sacred, beloved, in the eyes of Islam and our holy prophet, than some small items in a store. Then to say in the name of Allah, but you're using profanity at the same time is unbecoming of what we are taught to do from the Holy Quran, the Sunnah, and the Hadith of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I disagree with my brother. I understand your spirit, brother, but I disagree with your methodology and correction.
You know, I don't think you're that naive. I think you realize that there's zero chance of going up to that guy and saying, oh man, come on, don't do that. That's a bad thing. And if you watch the video, it wasn't just a few items in a backpack. He had the items in the backpack that he took out. He also had a whole other giant full bag that when the guy pulled the gun was dropped on the floor and the guy took and threw back.
But none of that is more sacred than a human being's life, Charles.
The consequences of that is more sacred. When you have especially an urban...
The consequences of some stolen items more sacred than a life?
You're going to let me talk? What we're seeing happen all over California, in Houston and other areas, is urban areas that are mostly people of color, black Americans. We have food deserts. We have pharmaceutical deserts. Like CVS and Walgreens are some of the most serious hit, and elderly African Americans without the money or the wherewithal are having a hard time filling their prescriptions. We have retail deserts, and then what happens? Then companies come in, exploitive companies. When the regular stores all flee and they overcharge, they destroy communities and exploit them, and it's all downstream from a billion-dollar theft industry that has gotten out of hand. And I think that guy's a hero. I think that guy's a hero.
Here's a big question.
I never thought you'd be condemning.
Wait a minute.
I don't know, but hold on.
He's in California. What's the concealed carry law in California?
Well, if he's licensed to carry, there are.
See, that's what I'm concerned about. And if he's licensed to carry, he didn't have a right to do what he just did, even in California.
He absolutely did.
And California has some strict gun laws. So I don't believe what he even had on him was legal, Charles. And if it was legal, that does not give you the justifiable excuse to pull your weapon, point at somebody's head because they're shoplifting. That's against concealed handgun carry classes and rules and laws.
Okay. As the lawyer, I will tell you, if he was security there or he had a financial interest in the store, which we don't know, we can't assume, then he had every right to do it. If he was just a concerned citizen affecting a citizen's arrest, I think he had every right to do it.
But he didn't arrest nobody.
Well, the theft didn't occur. He
stopped
the theft in progress.
He could have walked up to him, showed him the weapon in his waistband, and say, brother, I don't want to use this, but I'm not going to allow you to do what you're doing because it's costing our community. Put everything back, because if you don't, then I will use force. Put it back, brother. I'm armed, as you can see. Put it back, brother. But to take it out and point it at his head over some material items from a corner store is unacceptable, Charles.
Let me tell you something. And I'm not licensed in California. I'm licensed here in Texas. But this is in Texas, and the government came in, which the government wasn't here, and came after that wonderful, heroic man stopping that theft. I'd represent him for free, and I'd done shut down my criminal practice. Because you know what that man was? That man was a hero. Just like Daniel Penny was a hero for protecting people.
He was a hero by the spirit, but he was not a hero by the methodology that he chose to use to stop the shoplifting.
Americans of all colors, all races, ethnicities, religion, we're sick of the criminals running the show. We're sick of the criminals being treated like the victims.
But we cannot become criminals to fight criminals.
He didn't become a criminal. He was a crime fighter.
I think that was a crime, Charles.
He was a crime fighter.
I think what we witnessed was a crime, Charles.
I celebrate that man. Next time I'm in California, you follow me. If you see this, you hit me up on Big Angry Law, I'll take you out and buy you a damn steak, and I guarantee, that is my guarantee.
Be careful, brother.
Careful look at that. That was a nice conversation. That was outright flirtation. It was almost.
Oh my goodness.
That was almost heavy duty. That was almost heavy duty petting.
Oh my
At
God.
the G7 level.
Yikes.
I've been there. I've seen these things before.
Politics is a blood sport. And Larry, what you were pointing out, outside of some of the extracurricular activity you described, I do believe that in these moments you do want to gravitate. I mean, clearly she gravitates to power. You're not in a White House with a husband who really could have sat down long before that debate on June 27th. Yeah, I'm just going to say it because it's the truth. So she's gravitating toward power, and the shiniest object in the room at that moment, the one with the really good lighting, Molly, is Donald Trump.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
Well, Charles, we just watched the news story from Fox where they were pointing out how Miss Biden, the president's wife, was very cordial, warm, and they want to say flirtatious with Donald Trump in the same room, I guess as her husband was in too. And that she's a woman who obviously likes to gravitate toward power, so they believe she was flirting with Donald Trump. Based on the pictures that I saw from that news story, Charles, I think it's obvious we know who she voted for. But also, I think it was sending Kamala Harris a message and the Democratic Party that I never thought of this man what you all tried to paint him out to be. In fact, her husband called him a Nazi. Her husband called him a second coming of Hitler. But she in there really smiling with the new Hitler. She's very cordial and polite with the new Hitler. So it's obvious that she's not excited by the rhetoric of her husband, and she was very warm and cordial and polite and even nice to incoming President Trump.
I would say that segment was incredibly misogynistic. What they were talking about was, of course, the Trump for Men and Trump for Women cologne that he's hawking for $199 a bottle. I think it's very brazenly money grabby, but I don't really
hustler.
care.
What do you mean?
He is a hustler.
He's a hustler,
one
baby.
of the greatest salesmen of all time.
And he ain't no white man.
But that's news to me.
Trump is not a white man.
Okay, what is he?
You tell me, how can a Trump be a white man when, look at this, he got 34 felony convictions, he got several different baby mamas, he's selling Bibles, selling high-top sneakers with his picture on them. Now he's selling cologne also. Man, that man is hustling from the hood. That man is straight out of Harlem. That man come up out of Brooklyn. That ain't no white boy. That's a black brother in a white man's clothing, in a white man's face. He's been cloned. Look at me. That's Cat Williams. He hustling, baby.
I will concede that he is an incredible salesman, possibly one of the best salesmen to ever walk the earth. He is also blonde-haired, blue-eyed. He's orange, but only because of the spray paint. He's white.
That's a mask.
He is white as the driven snow, right? And I think it's incredibly racially derogatory to black people for you to suggest that the fact that he's been convicted of crimes makes him somehow more
man,
black.
Look here, that man is from Harlem, New York. He ain't from the Trump Tower. That's a clone. The old Trump gone. That's the new one there.
Jill Biden was being nice and cordial to the incoming president after spending 6 years, saying the ugliest, craziest things about him herself and her husband. Her husband swore that he was going to weaponize, he actually literally said he was going to weaponize the justice system to ensure that Trump was not allowed to run again.
Well, it looked like his wife liked that weapon.
Right. I don't think so. I think she
looked
was
like his wife
polite,
was smiling and cordial and goo-goo-eyeing that weapon.
I think the weapon you mean is penis?
I didn't say that.
But that's what you meant.
I didn't say that.
That's what you meant.
I didn't say that.
That's what you meant.
I'm talking about Trump Tower.
Okay.
She was marveling at Trump Tower.
I mean, there are some women that have come out and said it's more like Trump's shrub, but I don't care.
And look at you. I know you would listen to something like that. Yeah, because you want to know about the size of a man's pistol. That's enough.
You're the one that brought up Trump's penis.
I didn't. You did, not me.
You
did. You brought it up. I said she was mesmerized by that tower.
Okay. But the truth is, she was just being polite. I'm no fan of Jill Biden or Joe Biden, right? I think they're pretty awful people that raised awful people. If you'll read the laptop stuff about Hunter Biden basically turning his deceased brother's widow into a crack addict, all this
and sleeping with her, having a sexual relationship with
her
her
sister, and then telling him to go check for HIV. This is a family that raised horrible kids. They've gotten away with criminality.
So are you trying to say that Hunter Biden, in regards to his mama, the apple don't fall too far from the tree?
But that's his stepmom.
Is that what you're trying to say?
For one thing.
Well, that's his mama now. She's been his mama for years.
But two, I don't think this current criticism of Jill Biden is fair. I think that she was just being polite, and these are a bunch of conservative.
She don't think of Donald Trump what the Democratic Party called him and what her husband called him.
These are a bunch of conservative hosts saying horrible things about a woman without any real basis. And there's plenty of criticism, valid criticism you could make, but right there, they said her smiling at him and being cordial was akin to heavy petting. No, heavy petting is heavy petting. Right? She was just being nice. Let's not talk about women like they're objects, Quanell.
I didn't. The Fox News show did.
Well, then you
I'm only speaking about the content of what I witnessed and what I saw. But I would say this.
Okay.
Ain't no way in the hell, if I was a man and I'm in public calling another man the second coming of Hitler, and calling this man a threat to the American way of life, that I'm gonna have my wife in public smiling, goo-goo-eyeing, showing him all 34 teeth, leaning in, talking to him, whispering. No, baby, you and I got a problem, period.
So maybe Joe Biden isn't as much of a misogynist as you are. He
No,
lets his wife make her
what
own
it is,
decisions.
we know he's old and senile now.
Okay.
She still looks a little young and vibrant herself compared to him.
Would you hit it, Quano?
Oh man, stop, man.
I'm just asking you.
Oh, come on.
I mean,
man.
you're talking about Jill Biden.
That's disrespectful,
Like, oh, shut up.
man.
But hey, would you?
That's disrespectful.
Would you?
But stop, man.
Would you?
Stop. Look,
Yes
that's
or
an
no?
old woman, man.
Yes or no?
That's an old woman.
Yes or no?
That's an old woman.
Yes or
brother.
no?
That's an old lady.
You're the single man at this table.
But
I'm
why
married.
would you have?
Yes or
why
no?
don't have sex with an old lady like
So
that?
the answer's no.
Come on, man.
The answer's
stop.
no?
Of course it's no.
Okay, I mean,
Be
I don't know.
real,
You were
brother.
talking about it like you
That's
were kind of turned
disrespectful.
off.
She's the first lady.
Well, you're the one saying she was
She's the
focused on
first
Trump's
lady.
tower.
I said Trump Tower, but you've gone too far.
No,
now,
you
Charles.
went too far. These Fox
You
News
know
and
that
Larry
that
Kudlow
woman
went on.
at that
she was
age-
not heavy petting.
At that
she was
age-
being polite, and there's nothing wrong with being polite. And these guys are saying horrible things about her, completely undeserved. And frankly, I think Quanell would
She
hit
was
it.
smiling.
I think those old men on Fox Business were themselves attracted to Jill Biden, and they were just talking
That's
about their
too
own
much
fantasies.
dust down there. That woman old, man.
Come
Stop.
on, those guys were old. You're old. Come on,
That
why?
woman, that's cobwebs, man. Stop all that.
No,
woman
they ain't
old
talking
lady,
about,
man.
So you were just calling
That's
me
an old lady,
disrespectful,
man. That's
and
an
you're
old
saying
lady.
she dusty and
That's an
cobwebby and her
old
down. What
lady,
is wrong
man.
with
Stop
you?
that, man.
This whole segment was misogyny. It's disgusting.
In today's Face Off Up.
Whoa! The cops! Whoa! Call the cops! All right, that angry fat man, Michael Murray, out of Sandy, Utah, had just bought a used Mazda that day from, I think, Tim Dahl Mazda, and tried later in the same day. In some states, allow you to unwind a automobile purchase transaction within 24, 48, 72 hours. Apparently not so in Utah. I am not a lawyer in Utah, so I'm not familiar. But oftentimes also, it's defined by the contract you sign, which will have a lot of boilerplate. It'll have small words on the back. But that tubby fella was, and I'm fat, so I can say that, was a grown man who made a grown man car purchase and then decided after buying a car as is, decided he didn't want the car. Tried to return it. They told him no. He signed a contract. A contract's a contract. So in a fit of fury, he drove the vehicle through the front of the dealership into a receptionist desk where a woman could have been sitting there. She could have been squatting down picking up something behind. He could have killed somebody. I hope that man goes spend some real time in prison.
I don't condemn. I don't condone what he did.
Okay.
But
Sounds
I
like you're about
understand
to.
it. But I understand it.
Why?
Some of the greatest thieves in this country are used car
Oh, I
salesmen.
don't disagree.
Some of the most notorious liars are used car
I
salesmen.
don't disagree.
And people are tired of being manipulated and exploited and taken advantage of by used car salesmen because they have a desperate need for transportation. I think every state should have a rule and a law. At least 3 days, you can take that car back and they can charge you maybe for the mileage you put on it, but they should refund your money because you would be amazed, and you probably would not be amazed at some of the horror stories that these used car salesmen have manipulated people into buying absolute lemons, man. Then these people are out of their money, still, then no transportation again. It's just wrong. So I'm not going to condone what you did, my friend. But I would be lying if I said I did not empathize with your spirit and your attitude about it, because there's millions of Americans who feel like him.
Well, what you're doing is you're assuming a bunch of facts, not evidence.
Man,
you don't know anything about this dealership.
We've known through our lifetimes enough used car salesmen and what they've done that is wrong. I've always told my family, especially my daughters and my ex-wives, I said, listen, don't you ever go to a car mechanic without me. Don't you ever call a home repair plumber man without talking to me first. And sure as hell don't speak to a funeral home director without me. And if you show up at a car dealership, I might not be here when you get back without me, because I know how those industries take advantage of people, in particular women.
Right, but this was a grown man. This was a grown man who made a car purchase, right, and then decided for whatever reason. We cannot assume, obviously the car was still driving. It appeared to be driving just fine. Drove right through that glass door.
Well, maybe the brakes
fine.
wasn't working.
Okay. All
well,
right.
maybe he meant to stop and the brakes just didn't work.
Again,
maybe he took it back because he realized the brakes was faulty and the brakes wasn't working very well.
So his statements after the fact would indicate that was incorrect. But this is a man.
No, he said, I warned you all.
He was acting like
I warned you.
He was
I
acting
warned you
like
something was wrong with this car.
baby.
See, now the brake's not working. See, I just rolled through the window.
When you're a grown person and you make a car, once you drive it off the lot, now this was as sold as is, so not new. But a new car, you drive it off the lot for 3 days, it's greatly devalued. All of a sudden it's
greatly
a used car.
devalued.
Okay. But this guy went in there, he bought a used car, he signed paperwork, he had all the options in front of him, he made a decision. And then like a big baby, he's like, I don't, this and that. And they said,
but the law should allow you to take
deal.
the car to an independent mechanic to be evaluated, at least give you time to do that.
But he didn't do that. Like there's a myriad of things he could have done to protect himself or his interests, but instead he just went and bought a car.
I think that dealership would think twice about the next person selling one of them cars.
You know what? They could have sold him a perfectly fine car, and he could just be.
No, it wasn't. Looked like the brakes wasn't working.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.